finally, Gambo, our national nightmare is over.
Finally.
The
100 list.
The 100 lists,
Yeah.
which for Pat McAfee jumped the shark on Tuesday. For Gambo and Mad Dog Russo, it jumped the shark on Wednesday. Today well, first of all, I congratulate you. Not only did you get it right, you got it very right.
Michael Phelps.
You got it very, very right. Okay, we had a running dialogue all week as to which Arizona-based athlete would be ranked higher in this. And you said Michael Phelps, and I said Diana Taurasi, and you were right. Diana Taurasi was 21st in the final 1 through 25 was released today. Diana Taurasi was 21st, best athlete, most accomplished athlete since the year 2000. Michael Phelps was number 1 on the list, ahead of Serena, ahead of Messi, ahead of LeBron, ahead of Tom Brady. It was Michael Phelps and his 28 medals from the Olympics. So you got it right. You got it very, very right that he was going to be higher.
Yeah, I'm not totally shocked and surprised at that. He made it and Taurasi made it, but then there's a lot of other ones that you look at and you'd be like, okay, I don't really understand what they were doing here. The biggest omission, let's just cut to the chase. Can we cut to the chase here?
Cut to the chase.
Larry Fitzgerald's not on that list.
So, it's outrageous.
But Calvin Johnson is.
Yeah. It's one of those things where you go, well, wait a minute. It's one of those things where now you realize why lists like this are kind of dumb. Because it's like, I mean, come on. He's number 2 all-time in receiving yards. He's number 2 all-time in receptions in the history of the league. He's number 6 all-time in catching touchdowns in the history of the NFL. And that's not good enough? That's not good enough.
Right.
So, what are we doing here?
Calvin Johnson's on there, right?
Is he? I don't even know. I'm taking your word for it. Is he there?
I thought he was. I'll have to just do a double take.
I'll find his name. Give me a minute.
I was a little out of commission today, so I didn't have a chance to look at the whole list. But I think
he was 57. He was 57.
All right,
Hall of Famer, 6-time Pro Bowler, 3-time first-team All-Pro.
This is the biggest. Like, it's almost like they forgot that Larry Fitzgerald played because it's not comparable. Let me just tell you why. Calvin Johnson in his career had 11,619 yards. Fitz had 17,492. Calvin Johnson had 731 receptions. Fitz had 1,432. Fitz did all of his stuff in the decade of the 2000s. This isn't 98, 99. Fitz had 121 touchdowns. Calvin Johnson had 83. What are we talking about here?
What are we talking about
was somebody related to Calvin Johnson doing the list?
Well, no. Look, I had the exact same reaction you did when you said it just a second ago. There was a part of my brain that thought, did they just forget about him? Did they forget about him? I don't know how you could forget about him, but did they just, oops, hey guys, we forgot Fitz. And they're all guys, because there's none. You hold Calvin Johnson's career side by side with Larry Fitzgerald's. And you might say, aesthetically you think Calvin Johnson was a better wide receiver. Fine, if you want to believe that. But statistically, if you're going to tout stats and accomplishments as the reason, did Calvin Johnson play in a Super Bowl? Anybody? Bueller? I mean, it's one of those things that make you realize.
You got to forget that. Did Calvin Johnson even play in a playoff game?
It's fair. I
don't think he played in a. I have to double check. I don't think he played in a playoff game.
Larry
Fitzgerald had some incredible numbers in the postseason.
Some of his best work was done in the postseason.
Yeah, I don't double check that for me. I don't know if I guess okay. I'm looking it up now. So he played in one playoff game in 2011 and one in 2014.
Okay, so 2. He played in 2 playoff games.
Played in 2 playoff games. 2 playoff games. They hadn't won any playoff games in a long time, but 2 playoff games. Larry Fitzgerald took a team to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, Larry Fitzgerald played in 6, I think, off the top of my head. I'd have to look at that to be sure.
I mean, and Randy Johnson not getting in?
Yeah, and I was a little worried about that one only because...
But Clayton Kershaw did?
I know. I was just... Because how much of Randy Johnson's career do they think of when they think of the 90s and not the 2000s? I had wondered... I think it's dumb, too, given that 3 of his Cy Young Awards and his World Series co-MVP and his perfect game and that I thought most of that happened in the 2000s that he should have been on. But the Fitz one is just it's the reason why lists like this why Pat McAfee dismisses them, why Mad Dog Russo's like, why Mitch dismissed it. Like, this is silly because it's just trying to inspire and create this debate, and you're leaving guys off like that. Mitch?
You want to get further upset about the fact that RJ's not on it. Barry Bonds and A-Rod are in this top 100.
And a lot of Barry Bonds' success came in the 90s, and a lot of A-Rod's success came in the 90s, and that wasn't held against them, but it was held against Randy Johnson.
The thing is, I'm actually going to go through it. Just take a guess, because I'm gonna look this up myself. How many of the top 100 do you think that do not come from the 4 major sports?
Oh gosh, at least 45%.
I got a cricket player on.
Yeah, I mean at least 45%.
I'm going to say more. But I don't because you got
I'm just
swimming, you got soccer, you got track, you've got golf, you got tennis, you've got Formula One racing. I mean, I'm going to go through it because I want to know. I want to know how many of these because I gotta
know, man. I gotta know.
I think in America we will look at this differently than we're looking at it from Portugal or Brazil or. You know what I'm saying? Where cricket matters in Australia and England, like they understand the importance. We don't know that guy from a hole in the wall.
Yeah, I mean,
so for us, I'd like to see a top 100 list of the top 4 major sports
of just what Major League Baseball, the NBA, the NFL, and the NHL, and that's
because
it.
You wouldn't have all these crazy omissions. I mean, you're losing guys like Larry Fitzgerald and Randy Johnson for some guy that won a car race.
Yeah, it's a fine line because I mean, like I feel like Olympians should be on the list.
Do you know who Lewis Hamilton is?
No, I don't know who.
No,
Lewis
no
Hamilton.
idea. He's 19th on the list.
Lauren would be devastated to hear those words today.
Is he an F1 guy?
Yes,
he's an F1 guy.
He's an F1 guy. Yeah, hey, look, I know F1's very popular. I like something like your complaint about that is very much an eye of the beholder kind of thing because there are some people who are huge F1 fans, and to Mitch's point, would be very upset that they weren't.
But we don't know
list.
any of them. Your friends. You don't have any friends that are F1 fans.
Sure, I do. Of course, I do.
You do?
Oh, of course, I do. Yes, and I have friends who are big soccer fans, and friends who are big tennis fans, big golf fans, who were like, "Of course, you got to put Tiger on the list, and of course, you got to put Phil on the list." It's your perspective is not the only one on this, right?
Of course. That's why. That's what I'm saying. I'm going to go through this, and at some point today, I'll tell you how many of these athletes are not from the 4 major sports because I want to know. I really want to know.
I'm going to say I'm going to stick with my prediction. I'm going to say 45. I'll say 45 of them, probably a little more. 50?
I'll say 50.
Okay, yeah, we're splitting hairs on that one, but I'm frankly glad it's over. It was fun when we first started it. No, really, I'm being serious. Like when we first did this on Monday, I'm like, oh, this is fun. We'll see what Arizona athletes are on, and won't it be cool because we'll have a bunch on. And the further it got along, the further it's like, okay, you know what? Second thought, Pat McAfee was right. This is stupid.
This is stupid.
This is just, come on, man, because now we're arguing about who should be on, who should be off, and that's exactly what ESPN was trying to get.
What a show.
That's how he described it.
Thanks for watching Burns and Gambo. Click to see more from the guys and hit the button in the middle to subscribe so you never miss a video from Arizona sports.